We'll take it to the international stage, where earlier today the Kremlin was quoted as saying that no meeting between Putin and Zelensky is planned. They did, however, insist that the Russian president remains steady and ready to meet when there's an agenda for their meeting. Joining us now to discuss this and so much more is Mr. Sam Raus, from the David Boaz Resident Writing Fellow at Young Voices and a nationally published political analyst and trained public relations professional, yet again back on the Live Zone. Sam, always good to see you, sir. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you so much for having me on today.
So, Sam, it's no secret, depending on who you ask, this isn't happening. Perhaps it is happening. The question is, will it happen, and when will it happen?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of uncertainty still around the negotiations with regards to ending the conflict in Ukraine, the Russian aggression that started several years ago at this point. And I think that what the American people are really waiting to see is whether or not this administration is able to stick the landing on this and continue to remain steady in its support for our ally, Ukraine. We've provided them with military equipment throughout this conflict. We are very closely aligned with them on our political priorities, being both westernized countries involved with, most of the westernized diplomatic relationships. So I think that what we're waiting to see is whether or not an agreement can be reached, and then what that agreement is going to look like.
Typically, with regard to a meeting, we know that safeguards are discussed as well, but some would argue that, well, that wasn't the case with regard to President Trump and Vladimir Putin. I'm curious, your take on all of that.
Yeah, I think that what we saw last week in Alaska with the B-2 bomber flying over Putin was certainly quite the spectacle. And I think that if that is an indicator of how this administration is going to approach negotiations with Putin, I think we're going to see a lot of toughness, a lot of red lines in the sand. I think the president has voiced his new support for some level of security guarantees in Ukraine as the conflict winds down. So I think that we're at a position of strength right now, whether or not that remains and whether or not they stand firm against, letting Russia trying to claim a ton of land, letting Russia trying to weaken the state and relationship of Ukraine with foreign nations. That's going to be the most important part, because we need this to not just be some sort of temporary peace, but lasting stability for Ukraine going forward.
I think we can all agree with that. Sam, will end with this, and that is, obviously you don't have a crystal ball right in front of you, but, well, should you? How do you think all of this would play out?
Yeah, I think that the president is in a really good place right now, and if he can kind of tune out all the talking heads that are trying to tell him to concede quickly, to trying to tell him to, hand over land, let Russia just do its thing. I think that he has shown consistently to really stand up for allies in the Middle East, stand up for our allies in South America and their fight against dictatorships attempting to take over their countries. So I think that if we can project that here, we're going to be in a really good place. But that all remains, really unsteady right now. And I think that people want some level of clarity around what negotiations are ultimately going to look like.
Yet again, clarity on all sides. Sam Raus joining us right here on the Live Zone. Sir, I truly appreciate your time.
Thank you.